What is going on, fellow commanders of Caw? My name is Dan,
I'm Chris.
and welcome to Commanding Caws, the Washington/Baltimore football sports talk show. Where this week, Chris, what are we doing?
The NFC North, the grand finale of everything that we've been working on.
We are going to go through and talk about each team in the NFC North, give our predictions for the 2023 season, see who comes out on top, who's going to come in last place. There might be some surprises here, Chris.
I 100% agree. I think there's going to be a little bit of surprises, especially for this first team we're doing here.
But first, here's a video. All right, so yeah, as you can see, I am repping both Washington and Baltimore because that's just how it is in my house.
And then I have an old school Steve McNair jersey on, RIP. Pretty excited to have this jersey. Speaking of jerseys, there's going to be a new quarterback in this first team because the other one went to Jersey.
All right, going right into it. The Packers last year had a disappointing season with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he had two back-to-back MVP seasons, and last year was not an MVP season.
Yeah, I will say in defense for Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers fan, but he's an amazing quarterback, and he wasn't given a lot of supporting cast around him. He made do with a lot. So I will give him that. He had some pretty good running backs in the backfield with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, I do believe. But with that being said, how's Jordan Love going to do?
Well, let's take a look. They were 8-9 last year, and literally, like, a lot of teams beat them that we weren't sure were going to beat them. Like Washington beat them. That was pretty interesting. Because the Lions beat them at the tail end there, they got eliminated from the playoffs, and honestly, the Lions would have got there if it weren't for Seattle. Here we are. The Chiefs won anyway. So, but to your point earlier, Chris, how are you feeling about Jordan Love? What do you think's going on? Because really, we don't know a whole lot.
I think that kind of is what it is right there, is that we don't really know enough about him to see how he's going to do. I don't have high hopes for the Packers this year, mainly because of that, and I don't think they have the greatest team currently. You go into next year, after they get maybe a couple key pieces, if Jordan Love shows a lot of stability in that pocket, and they might be able to build around him.
Yeah, I think everyone was surprised when he got picked in 2020 to go to Green Bay. They didn't need a quarterback, which was weird. He didn't play at all in 2020, and then he played 6 games in 21. He only started 1 game, and he was 0-1 with a 58% completion passer rating, only 411 yards. And last year, he played 4 games, didn't start any. He had a 66% completion rating passing, but only 195 yards. He's only had 606 total yards.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Did he play any in the preseason last year? I imagine so.
Probably, but I'm looking at regular season.
No, that's fair. I want to say there's a clip of him hitting Christian Watson for a nice slant across the middle. His accuracy looks pretty great, in my personal opinion. 66 not really too terrible, but it is a limited pool amount of snaps that he's taken, so I could see that.
I agree. Which, yeah, Aaron Rodgers went to the Jets, so he's the starter this year. I think everyone's just kind of optimistic, but they're not thinking that the Packers are going to be going to the Super Bowl or even making the playoffs this year.
And if they do, that'd be amazing for Jordan Love's first year. I really wouldn't be encouraged to see that for him.
But going right into it, so the preseason, they play the Bengals, the Patriots, and the Seahawks. I think that that's going to be 2 L's and a W, I think.
I could see that.
But then first week is against the Bears, which we'll talk about the Bears here in a minute too. I love deep dish pizza. That's why I like Chicago. Throughout this whole series we've been doing, I have had high hopes for the Bears. Now, I agree, Justin Fields is not the best quarterback. He's not the best quarterback in the division. He's also had way less to work with. I think going into it, Jordan Love has more to work with than what Justin Fields had when he started.
I 100% agree with that statement.
We'll talk about the Bears in a little bit, but what do you think personally about this, Chris? What is going to be the deciding factor? It is week 1.
Chicago.
Okay.
I think Chicago has I think Chicago and the Packers have kind of a similar defense, talent-wise. The Bears ended up shipping off Roquan Smith over to Baltimore. Thank you. And then when it comes to the Packers, they don't really have anyone they used to have. Like, they originally had both the Smiths over there, and they were doing a great job when it came to crashing down on the edge. Both of them are gone, if I remember correctly. I think Zadarius and can't remember his name off the top of my head, but the other Smith, both gone. So I personally think it's going to be a battle between Justin Fields and Jordan Love. You got Christian Watson on one side. You got DJ Moore on the other side. I think Christian Watson over time will be a really good receiver based off what I saw. If he continues to develop the way he was developing with Aaron Rodgers, I think DJ Moore is better currently at this very second. I think the Bears will win it because it's in Chicago.
Yeah, kind of going to what you said about it being Jordan Love and Justin Fields, kind of them being the deciding factor. I think Justin Fields has had more experience, but also Jordan Love was sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for years, so it's not like I can't imagine he didn't pick up on something.
No, and I 100% agree with that. It could be another Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre situation. That would be, oh my goodness, that would be so ridiculous if the Packers got themselves another Jim.
I'll still say the Bears edge him out here. It is the first week, and I agree DJ Moore is the better receiver. We're going 0-1 with the Packers right now. The Falcons, how did we say this game was going to play out when we did our NFC South video?
I think we gave the edge to the Falcons here just because they have a couple of good pieces that they picked up in the offseason. They have more around their quarterback situation than the Packers do personally, in my opinion. The defense for the Falcons is also a little bit better as well. I think they ended up picking up Calais Campbell in the offseason. They got some pretty good pieces.
They do have Calais Campbell, yep.
I think that is why we ended up going with the Falcons here. And I could see the Packers swinging it and actually getting the win here as well, but I look for it to be a close-fought game, like probably 23-24, 23-21, something like that.
Yeah, I don't feel as strongly about this one, but yeah, let's give the Falcons the edge here, just kind of based on everything you were saying.
And then that brings us to the Saints. This is in Green Bay. It's their first home game. We have the Saints winning based off of previous picks currently.
Now, here's the thing, too. Jair Alexander, he's like a top, I'd say 10, if not 5, corner in the league. But besides him, can you really name any other big-name defensive players on that team?
Absolutely not. Ever since the Darius Smith left, I mean, that was really one of the other big-name pieces they had on their team. Alexander's going to be good this year, I imagine, if not great.
I mean, he's always going to put up good stats.
Yeah. Who do they got for safeties, though? I don't think they really have anybody back there. So that's why I think we ended up going with the Saints here, because Michael Thomas, if he is playing, is probably going to put a hurting on their defense.
And Marshawn Lattimore, he's not as good, but he's still pretty good at corner for the Saints. And I mean,
absolutely.
And who was the player that, when I asked you earlier about the Saints defense, I think it was last week that you said was really going to be the difference maker?
Cam Jordan.
Cool. Yeah, so just based off defense alone, and again, Derek Carr versus Jordan Love, I think, yeah, the Saints are going to win that one. I feel better about that one than I do the Falcons, just personally.
And Packers fans, don't take anything personally that we're saying here. The main thing is what's it look like when a team gets a rookie quarterback for the first time in that backfield? It usually doesn't look pretty for that team, just being honest. So that's kind of the way that we're kind of approaching this situation. It's almost like having a rookie quarterback with a little bit of playbook experience. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how he developed during the time with having Aaron Rodgers there. Just wanted to throw that out there as a disclaimer. We're not saying the Packers are a bad team. It's just this is our personal opinion of what might happen for the season based off of the experience that Jordan Love has.
We're looking at it on paper. Like, you know, I kind of think of it like a math problem. You know, as we go through the problem and different factors come in, this is the answer we come to.
Yes. And the next answer will be against the Lions. And I actually think the Packers and the Lions might split the series.
Oh, man. If it's in Green Bay, it's an 8:15 game. It's late September, so it's not like super cold. I could see the Packers really rallying to get this one, sure. But it will be a hard-fought game because the Lions are getting good.
Yes, they are.
But then we go next week to the Raiders. We had the Raiders winning this one. Obviously, Jimmy G, better than Jordan Love. Devontae Adams, revenge game, potentially.
Correct. And like you were saying, I think with having Devontae Adams, they have a team that's built around Jimmy G. Jimmy G also, if I read correctly, is good to go. No issues when it comes to his injuries as well. Good. So doesn't need surgery or anything like that, so that's great.
Then they got the bye week. Then they're playing the Broncos. Now this is one, to the person who called us a Broncos hater, we think the Broncos are winning this one.
Broncos should win this one. They should have, in my opinion, the better coach. The way everyone's talking about Sean Payton, the way that everybody's thinking Russ is going to come back, they'll have a better quarterback by theory. They have more in their receiving core. Defense is also a little bit better as well. So, yeah, I basically would give that over to the Broncos.
And now we're going back to in division. The Vikings are playing the Packers. The Vikings, a lot of people last year said that they were fraudulent, which kind of those people were vindicated when the Giants beat them.
Yeah.
In the playoffs.
They have arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL based off of last season. That man is a beast. But with that being said, I actually look for the Packers to walk away with the W here because it's in Green Bay, and I look for them to split the series with the Vikings as well. Because it's an end division game. I think they'll play them tough. I think they might get after Kirk Cousins, even with not really having that much on defense.
I call meme time. 1 o'clock Kirk Cousins.
It is 1 o'clock Kirk Cousins, so he could throw for 4 touchdowns to Justin Jefferson. Did you see what happened to the wide receiver for
Jordan
Vikings?
Addison? Yeah, he was speeding and he got charged with reckless driving. He's going to be out I think he'll be back by this point.
You think he's going to get suspended from the league?
Well, I read that he already was suspended. If not, well, maybe he didn't. I don't know. But if he was already punished, it's at least a 4-game suspension as far as I'm aware.
Should be. If they can kick people out for gambling, they can kick people out for doing dangerous stuff on the roads. Personal opinion there.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. But okay, so let's go back to this though. On paper, again, looking at the math problem, I think the Vikings have the better talent though. Oh,
absolutely. I think the Vikings are the better team. But I just think because it's an in-division game and that they're at Green Bay, that they'll rally up. Because this would put them at 2-5, I do believe. I don't see them dropping this many games consecutively in a row. So I personally think that's where the Packers will just kind of upset the Vikings here. That's mainly what this game would be for me, as an upset game.
Okay, I'm not going to disagree with that. Next week, the Rams are coming to Lambeau. And again, on paper, Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford, Sean McVay, I think, is a better coach.
Aaron Donald.
Did we say that the Rams are winning this one?
Absolutely, we did.
Okay, cool. And then the Steelers, I think we had them winning against the Steelers here, didn't we?
Yes, we did. We have them beating the Steelers here. Now, this is another game where the Steelers could come in and just wipe house with the Packers. They are better on paper. I just think it's going to be an upset game. I don't know what it is. I just really think that Christian Watson and them are going to have a great game against the Steelers defense. But if TJ Watt starts to heat up, it's going to be game over. If he can get after Jordan Love, it's going to be game over.
We'll give it the slight edge then to Green Bay just because. And again, people watching this, these are our predictions. We're predicting an upset here. Next week, the Chargers.
Chargers definitely going to beat them. Justin Herbert just got his $262 million contract, I believe.
I don't know what it is. Like, every team now is like, oh, yeah, well, my quarterback's going to be the more paid one, just by like $500,000, though, or something.
I'm so happy we went ahead and signed Lamar. I'm happy the Eagles signed Jalen Hurts. I don't think Herbert's worth that money. He couldn't even finish off a playoff game that they were 27-0 winning. That's just my personal opinion there. I just don't understand. I know the defense is what fell apart, but you got 27 points. How did you not continue to score against them, or at least change up what you were doing so that you could score?
Did they get any other points that game? I don't remember.
I don't believe so.
I'll look that up, but you got a good point there to the Chargers fans out there. On paper, they are a great team, but here's the thing. They were 27-0, and then Jacksonville won 31-30, so they got like a field goal.
And the reason I'm kind of passionate about the Justin Herbert situation is because when Lamar lost his first playoff game, it's all I heard about as a Ravens fan. Even though he was a rookie, didn't do good, it was just, he lost to the Chargers in the playoffs. He wasn't up 27-0, though. That's a tremendous upset for the Jacksonville Jaguars to have committed against them.
Then we got the Packers going to Detroit. I think Detroit is going to win this. This is on Thanksgiving.
Yep, I think we're going to see Jared Goff and them eating that turkey leg on the sideline.
They're going to get the long piece of the wishbone.
And then we have the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs. Anything else need to be said about this? Rematch for Super Bowl I. Do believe that the Chiefs are going to handily walk away with this victory. I would be shocked if we were right up to this point and the Packers actually upset them. I don't see it happening, though.
Oh, you said, do I need to worry about saying anything else? I was going to go right into New York, but yeah. The Giants, we had the Giants winning here, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Well, and didn't Saquon just sign a year contract?
11 mil, yep.
Okay, well, there you go. That's going to be your deciding factor. But then they come back and they get on a 2-game winning streak against the Bucs and the Panthers. I think the Bucs is going to be way easier. I think the Panthers are going to put up somewhat more of a fight, but I still think that Green Bay walks away with this. And if you think that they're going to split with the Vikings, then the Vikings are going to win this one.
That is correct. This is going to be
And it
in
is-
Minnesota, if I'm correct. Yep, and it's 8:20 game. Now, with that being said, primetime Kirk Cousins. Maybe we switch
Yeah.
them. Maybe
I say switch them. That's just me.
I think for the memes, we're going to switch it. We're going to have them win here against the Vikings in the season, get him kind of on a hot streak, and then we'll have them losing against the Vikings earlier in the season. And with that being said, I think the winning streak continues here. I think they split with the Bears.
Well, we might have to come back to this because I don't know what the Bears are looking like at this point. If they're going to have a wild card locked up, I don't know. I'm not predicting it right now, but we'll see. But you mind if we hold off on this one until we get to the end?
Yep, I'm good with that.
Okay, so right now though we're looking at them being 5-12 if they lose to the Bears here. So 5-11 right now.
5-11 with a chance of being 6-11 or 5-12. Yeah, we're gonna come back to that. I agree with that statement there. And with that being said, I think we move over to the darlings of the league, the Lions. Everyone wants them to succeed that I've seen. Everyone wants to see them do great. That includes myself. I like the Lions.
Unfortunately, the first week they're playing the Chiefs. This could be an upset.
This could be a game that the Lions just come out and show out. If they beat the Chiefs week 1, which is very possible. It's very, very possible.
It's a primetime game. Wait, this is the first game of the season.
Yep.
Oh man. I will still keep our prediction that the Chiefs get a perfect season. But if the Lions come out and just shatter dreams for the first week, kind of like how the Bills destroyed the Rams' first game last year, I'm all for it.
I'm 100% with you on that. I think it'll be amazing.
Now, I believe when we talked about the Seahawks, you think the Lions are going to win this here.
Correct. I think the Lions are going to get a little bit of revenge for getting knocked out of the playoffs, to be honest with you. So I think the Lions come in, kind of boss around the Seahawks a little bit. This is in Detroit. This is their first game of the season when it comes to like the home opener. I look for the Lions to kind of kick them around a little bit. Lions are a good team. This will be a great game, though.
It's kind of like the Seahawks are going to go in and they're like, hey, thanks for helping us get into the playoffs, and the Lions just punch them in the face.
Basically.
But then they're playing the Falcons, and I think they will beat the Falcons pretty handily. Then we had them split with the Packers.
Yep.
So, yeah. Then they're playing the Panthers, which we have the Panthers losing to, so Lions win. I'm cool with that. Why do we have the Bucks winning this year?
I think we have the Buccaneers winning here. This is an upset game, is what we predicted. Because I kind of looked for the Lions to kind of go into that game. It's in Tampa Bay. So I kind of look for them to go in there, maybe overlook their opponent a little bit. I think Tampa Bay has amazing wide receivers, and I think there's a really good chance that Baker could have a really good season with that wide receiver core.
He might get some really good stats, but a win's a win and a loss is a loss. So, and at this point, though, we do have the Bucks. This is their first win on the season so far. So, okay, maybe they're just invigorated. Yeah. Then we have them losing to the Ravens. I think that's going to be a tough one.
Hopefully, JT don't got to kick a 60-something yard field goal again. That would be, oh my goodness. I wish I was recording my reaction to that game.
Then we have them beating the Raiders. I think that's pretty possible. Jared Goff against Jimmy G. I do think Devontae Adams is the better receiver. But, I mean, St. Brown is really good. Marvin Jones, meh. Jameson Williams, meh. What do you think?
Jameson Williams is going to be a really good wide receiver, I think. If the Lions lose here, it'll be because of the defense, I personally think. But that offensive line for the Lions looks pretty good.
Then we're going to
have a bye week and then go to the Chargers.
Yep, I think the Lions beat the Chargers.
And I personally think that we stay with that because it'll be two young teams against each other. I think Jared Goff is just a little bit more experienced with that offensive line that they have. Someone made a comment in the comments for our NFC West video about Jared Goff and how he's going to do with that offensive line. I do agree with them. It's going to be kind of scary to see him back there for that long because he's not a bad quarterback. I think he's highly underrated.
And also, too, coaching matters because Dan Campbell, I think, is a better coach than Brandon Staley, and I'm surprised Brandon Staley has a job at this point.
I think most people are surprised he still has a job at this point.
Now, let's go to them Lions and Bears. Oh, my.
I think the Lions are the better team out of these two.
On paper, and it's in Detroit. Let's give Detroit the win here. Then we have the Packers going to Detroit, and the Lions are going to win that on Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble. And then the Saints winning against the Saints. That's a 5-game win streak if you don't count the bye week.
And going on that 5-game win streak will help out the Lions when it comes to going against the Bears next, I do believe. This may be in Chicago, if I'm correct. Yep. This is a 1 p.m. game. I honestly look for the Lions to sweep the Bears this year.
Yeah, as Mr. Spock says, gotta think logically here. So, I mean, sorry for the bad attempt at humor there, but I
It
think
was
the
good.
Bears are gonna get swept by the Lions.
I agree. The Lions are just the better team on paper. With that being said, we do have an upset coming up next, which will be against the Broncos. We have the Broncos walking away with the dub here. I think it could go either way. This is a game
It
during
could.
the addendum we could go back on, but I personally think this is a game where the Broncos should win by theory.
Honestly, with the Ravens and the Broncos, I feel like if any of those are gonna flip, probably Broncos, but I could see the Ravens doing it either way. But we'll just keep it as is. Broncos win that one. Then the Vikings. This is the
And
first time they're playing the Vikings. What time of the day is this game?
1 p.m. Dangerous man time.
It's in Minnesota. Let's give the Vikings the slight edge here.
I 100% agree with that. So they'll kind of go on a little bit of a losing streak because we have them going against the Cowboys next, and that Cowboys defense is scary. And that's kind of why we gave them the edge here.
I mean, right now they're 9-6.
And
No, 9-7.
I think
So
we have them in the end of the year going 10-7 and beating the Vikings.
now is that going to be enough to win the division? Let's see what happens because I'm seeing some green on some of the other teams here. All right, so now let's head over to them Vikings in Minnesota, eh?
And they get to start off the season pretty hot going against the Buccaneers there. I believe that they're going to come in here and probably slap around the Buccaneers, to be 100% honest with you. With that being said, that next week game is against the Eagles. And
It's
I
in
think
Philly.
I think the same thing is going to happen to them. I think Philadelphia is going to march into their stadium and show them who's the best team in the NFC.
I don't know necessarily, and don't take this as me being a hater, but I don't know if the Eagles are going to be the best team in the NFC, which we might actually know the answer just based purely on numbers after this, but we'll see. They're definitely up there, top 3 or top 5. But then we have the Vikings beating the Chargers. Sorry, Chargers fans, it's in Minnesota. It's a 1 o'clock Kirk Cousins, and then we have them beating the Panthers, which I do think Bryce Young is going to develop, but again, kind of start off meh. And then we have the Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs are going to keep their perfect season, at least here. What do you think about the Bears?
So this Bears game is in Chicago.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
DJ Moore, Justin Fields, Kirk Cousin,
Justin
and
Jefferson.
Yeah.
I think the Vikings win this, to be 100% honest with you. I can see the Vikings sweeping the Bears.
I don't know about a sweep. I think the Bears get lucky at one point because, I mean, they played the Bears in week 12. This is week 6. And then the Vikings, we have them losing to the Broncos and the Packers, but they're winning against the Falcons and the Saints.
Yeah, I think we give this to the Vikings here, and then probably the next one we'll give that to the Bears.
Yeah, I don't feel as confident about a Vikings sweep, personally.
No, that's understandable.
Then they're playing the 49ers, which at this point it's Brock Purdy, or is it Trey Lance?
It's going to be Brock Purdy from what I understand.
Okay, so then yeah, the 49ers are going to win this one. I feel pretty good about that. Then they're beating the Packers, they're beating the Falcons, they're beating the Saints. They're a little bit of a hot streak there, but then the Broncos upset them.
Yeah, I like that. I think the AFC is just a lot more competitive of a league than the NFC. So I think it's very possible and plausible for the Broncos to upset them.
And I really do think any given Sunday, I think Russell Wilson is better than Kirk Cousins, personally.
I look at them about equals when it comes to quarterback play, but I do get what you're
Right
saying.
edge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that.
Then, yeah, going back to the Bears, again, I just don't feel too comfortable about them sweeping the Bears, so I'm giving the Bears the win there.
Well, you're also correct because this is an 8:15 game, so.
Meme lives on. All right, and then they got the bye week. Then they play the Raiders, and they lose to the Raiders. That could be one we look at the addendum, but right now, I feel pretty good about that. We haven't beaten the Bengals, but we don't know if this is a prime time or if it's going to be 1 o'clock or 4 or what.
It should be a primetime game. It's two of
Well, it
the
says
best
TBD.
receivers. Yeah. You got two of the best wide receivers in the game. You got Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. And you got T. Higgins on the Bengals. You got Addison on the Vikings.
Rookie.
It could go pretty back and forth. I could see this being a high-scoring game, to be 100% honest with you.
Honestly, if you made me pick a game that we switch right now, I say Bengals win this, but I'm cool with leaving it right now.
And then we have them going against another kitty cat team and beating them with the Lions
But then they lose to the Packers, and then they lose to the Lions again.
to end the season off, and that will put them at 9-8, leaving them one game behind the Lions.
We will see. I'm not sure what happens. I guess it really just depends on the in-division games. If a team has the same record and they both like at the top of the division. But anyway, let's move on then to get some deep dish pizza here in Chicago. The Bears. As I previously mentioned, I want to talk about this team. Justin Fields has talent. I wouldn't say he's a top 15 quarterback, but I think he's 15 to 20 currently in the league. He is going to have better weapons with DJ Moore, which we've been saying for a long time now. You probably are tired of us saying it. And they've got Darnell Wright, which I think is going to help protect him. He also is a bit of a runner. He's nowhere near good as Lamar Jackson, but there's potential.
Yeah, he's more of a running quarterback than Lamar Jackson at his current stage in the NFL of where he's at.
Yeah, I think Lamar is going to have less running going on this season, personally.
So we got the Packers and the Buccaneers both as wins for the Bears, week 1 and week 2, which I stand behind that. They should have some pretty good competition there between the two, but I think the Bears edge out the Packers, and I think they edge out the Buccaneers as well.
I think they are just a better team than the Buccaneers right now. I mean, obviously, these are just our thoughts. It could go either way, but we feel pretty confident about that. And then the Chiefs, again, getting a perfect season. They're beating the Bears. We haven't beaten the Broncos then here.
We do, and I think they're the only team that actually beats the Broncos in this division.
Which I think, I mean, DJ Moore is going to help. I mean, is this in Chicago or is this in Mile High?
This is in Chicago.
Okay, yeah, I still say then that the Bears will beat the Broncos. Obviously, Russell Wilson is a better quarterback. And I know I just said I would take him over Kirk Cousins, but the fact that you said that him and Kirk Cousins are more similar to each other, or kind of neck and neck, shows that Russell Wilson is kind of regressing.
Yeah.
And I think Justin Fields is on the way up. It may be really slow, but I think he's on his way up. You just get him more weapons and maybe a better coach. I don't know about Eberflus, but...
No, I 100% agree. And then we have them losing to the Commanders and the Vikings.
Which Sam Howell may not work out. Whatever. I'm gonna hope. And then we haven't beaten the Raiders. Devontae Adams, though. Jimmy G, this could be a flipped game.
It definitely could be. A lot of these games could be flipped games for the Bears because we're predicting the Bears to be better this year than they were last year. So it's going to be a little bit weird at first for some people to see that we have the Bears so highly rated, but it's because we look for them to make the adjustments that they need to make with Justin Fields at quarterback. They'll have better wide receivers. We won't shut up about it. DJ Moore's going to be a great wide receiver.
I will say I do think Eberflus is currently the worst coach in this division.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Now we have them beating the Chargers. Any Chargers fan who is upset, I get it. But again, 27-0. Moving on. Then we have them losing to the Saints, which I do think the Saints defense is better. And Derek Carr is better than Justin Fields. So yeah, I got you there.
And then we have Panthers losing as well to the Bears here, which stand by that. Then we have them losing to Detroit and beating the Vikings.
Yep. Then they got the bye week the same week as the Vikings. That's interesting.
Yep.
But then they play the Lions. They lose to the Lions. They lose to the Browns. But honestly, if they're on a hot streak at this point, I mean, okay, obviously if they lose to the Lions, then they're on a hot streak. But this is kind of an up and down kind of season so far for them. I'm seeing a lot of half and half.
Yep.
I feel like the Browns, they could beat them. Deshaun Watson's the factor. I think Kevin Stefanski is a better coach, personally.
It's going to depend on Deshaun Watson.
I think talent-wise, yeah. Sorry, let's give the Browns this one.
Okay. And then we got the Cardinals and Falcons both as wins for the Bears as well here. And that leads us with the last game for this.
We have to pick.
I don't think they sweep the Packers. I really don't think they're going to sweep the Packers, personally.
At this point, what is each team at? Because I think the Packers are looking at 5-11 right now, whereas the Bears are...
They're currently 9-7 right now. I look for them to go 9-8. Maybe miss the playoffs by a little bit and then bounce back for next year. I could see that being the case. Because my main thing with the Packers is I think personally the Bears are the better team, but I don't know what it is. I just don't think they will allow themselves to get swept by the Bears.
You persuaded me. But that puts them at 9-8, and the Packers are going to be at 6-11? Yeah.
Yep.
So there you have it.
That is a tough league.
Man, the Lions are going to be a game ahead, and there could be... This is just kind of what we're thinking right now, but yeah, the Lions will win the division just barely. I mean, the Vikings could surprise, the Bears could surprise, but at this rate, I mean, we'll have to look more in depth at it later, but I mean, potentially there's a scenario where all three of those teams make the playoffs.
Definitely could be. It really depends because the NFC is such a weak conference that all these teams could, besides Packers, could make the playoffs based on what we're seeing. Because we're splitting hairs on who wins the division here is really what it comes down to. 10-7, 9-8, 9-8. It's going to depend on these divisional games. I look for the Packers to kind of regress based off of everything going on with Jordan Love and making their kind of start and their footing to developing him the way they want to. Now, if he comes out and he's lights out, awesome. I just don't see that happening. Whereas Justin Fields has kind of been in the league for a little bit now, playing. So he's had that playing time, so he kind of knows what's going on. We are really splitting hairs here when it comes to these divisional games. 10-7, 9-8, 9-8. It's going to be some good football, and coming from the NFC North, I believe.
Yeah, I agree. But there you have it. That's the NFC North. And then next week, Chris, man, we are going to go ahead and do a review of all the divisions, make an addendum to some games. I don't look for us to make a whole lot of changes, but man, that's the end of this, at least for the regular divisional rankings. And everyone out there, if you've been watching us, thank you. Seriously, we love the interaction. We love the views. Look, everyone wants to get views on YouTube, but we really do appreciate that people are watching the content. And you know, even if you disagree with it, we really do appreciate you at least checking by and giving us your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for showing the support. We really do appreciate every single one of you guys. Doesn't matter what you say in the comments. I take it with a grain of salt a lot of the time.
And I just want to say, too, rep your team. Do it. If you want, check out our Month of Positivity. We said something nice about every single team in the league, so feel free to check that out, too.
Yeah, even the Browns and the Cowboys.
Even those teams. Even the Steelers and the Eagles.
Yeah.
We even said something nice about those dang Commanders, which, at the time of this recording, I'm a happy man, and you can probably guess why, Chris.
That mean man is gone.
Not even so much mean, but lying, cheating,
Terrible.
scapegoating, just terrible person. Yeah. I no longer have to be ashamed of my first name when I walk into Washington, D.C. Although I will still probably never go to FedEx Field because that is just horrible to get to. And that wasn't even his fault, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I remember for work, I was staying at a hotel near there, and oh my goodness, it was so chaotic to deal with during that Sunday. It was wild.
We can start to heal, and I don't expect us to win the Super Bowl next year. I don't even expect us to make the playoffs. It'd be cool if we did, but...
And I honestly, it kind of depends on, I'm hearing rumors about different stuff that the Commanders might be kind of facing. And there's a rumor that they're thinking about trading Chase Young, and the Ravens are one of the teams that are on that list for who would go after him. Of course, I want that. That'd be amazing. But I don't know where they get the money from to be able to do that personally. They trade off certain assets, such as Patrick Queen, and maybe a second. I can see that happening. But it's kind of interesting to see what way that they're going to take the Commanders in playing.
But at any rate, thanks for listening to our little diatribe about the Washington team. But thank you all for watching. Please hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and like and share this video with your friends, family, and fellow football lovers. And yeah, caw. We will see you next week.
Caw. Peace, guys.